I remember a time when I was juggling the demands of Tesla, SpaceX, and my personal life with a kind of relentless obsession that I'd once believed was essential for success. In the early days of Tesla's growth, I pushed myself past normal human limits. I worked 7 days a week, often sleeping in the factory or in the conference room, sustaining myself on coffee and adrenaline. I thought it was the only way to ensure our survival, especially when we were just months away from bankruptcy. The intense schedule led to a moment when I found myself nodding off during crucial meetings, feeling my focus slip away even when discussing life or death decisions for company. It was as if mine was giving up on me, even though my passion was still raging. My health deteriorated, my personal relationships suffered. A sense of isolation started creeping in. I was achieving professional milestones, but felt a growing hollowness inside, a reminder that I was pushing too hard and that something critical was missing. One evening, I nearly collapsed from exhaustion as I left the Tesla office. That physical breakdown was my alarm bell. I had built these companies from a burning desire to create a better future, yet I was on a path that might prevent me from being around long enough to see the futures realized. I knew in that moment that I had to rethink the meaning of hard work and what real productivity entails. Instead of equating success purely with grinding hours, I needed to rediscover the value of rest and fun in renewing my energy and fostering the innovative thinking that got me started in the first place. I speak to you all today. I see people who share the same entrepreneurial spirit, the same hunger to create and achieve. Some of you might be pulling all-nighters, believing you have to sacrifice everything to make your dreams come true. I want you to know that I've been in the dark tunnel of unyielding ambition without pause. It can be exhilarating for a time, but it's not sustainable. You might be powering through, driven by the image success you've painted in your mind. Yet if you neglect balance, your vision can become clouded and your health can slip away, undermining everything you've worked so hard to build. So I invite you to embrace a new approach, one where we acknowledge that overwork is not a badge of honor, but rather a short-term tactic that can lead to burnout. We must find a rhythm in our lives where moments of intense focus are balanced with equally vital periods of rest and enjoyment. This is not about being lazy or uncommitted. It's about recognizing that the human mind is at its best when it's periodically refreshed. Fun, laughter, and personal fulfillment are not distractions from success, they're catalysts for it. Choosing a path that values both dedication and rejuvenation, we can achieve greater innovation, maintain well-being, and ultimately create more profound and lasting impact on the world. Propose that we move forward together in exploring how to balance work and play in a way that keeps our spirit of invention alive. You'll discover that when you allow yourself time to breathe, time to explore your passions outside of work, you return to your mission energized, more creative, and more resilient. The goal isn't merely to survive the journey, it's to thrive along the way, ensuring that all the dreams we have for ourselves, our teams, and the world can truly come to life in a sustainable manner if we are to lead humanity forward, whether through electric vehicles, space exploration, any other bold endeavor. We must look after our own well-being with the same care we devote to our groundbreaking projects. Now, let's dive deeper into how we can make this balance not just a personal choice, but a strategic necessity that fuels enduring success. It's amazing to think how easily the notion of working around the clock can overshadow our innate need for play, for laughter, for that spark of creative wonder. The first step lies in discovering why this balance matters so much and how we can all find a path that reconciles intense drive with genuine enjoyment. Let's explore these ideas through a series of key insights, each shedding new light on the ways we can weave work and play together into one cohesive tapestry. The journey ahead is both a challenge and an opportunity, a hero's journey of sorts. Trials will lead us toward transformation, and from there, we can bring this wisdom back to our daily lives, ensuring that our dreams remain attainable and deeply rewarding. I'd like to begin with a discovery that has shaped my approach to work and rejuvenation. When we truly grasp the power of balanced living, we unlock not just more energy, but also an unprecedented capacity for creativity. Let's step into that exploration and learn how each one of us can implement practical strategies that preserve our ambition while safeguarding our well-being. Together, we'll find that work and play are not opponents in some zero-sum game. They are essential partners in our greatest moments of achievement and fulfillment. I pose a question to spark our journey. Have you ever wondered why certain individuals produce stunning breakthroughs while seeming to maintain a sense of joy and lightness? It's not merely about luck or genetic gifts. In many cases, these people discover the critical role of balance, a space where their minds can wander, recharge, and then return to work with heightened clarity. This is the foundation of our first key point. Discovery of how an integrated lifestyle can fuel sustainable success. It might sound simple, but the question lingers, if this balance is so natural, why do we so often run from it? To find answers, we must uncover real-life scenarios that highlight both the pitfalls of constant overdrive and the triumphs of a well-paced approach. Let's delve into this first key point through the lens of a discovery pattern, examining a compelling case study, analyzing it in depth, and identifying practical solutions that push us toward a new understanding of how to flourish. I'll offer a breakthrough conclusion that shows us the real-world applications of balancing work and play, and then we'll continue our journey with further insights. Our key exploration begins now. I once met a brilliant software engineer who spent years in continuous startup mode, working day and night to the point that he could barely differentiate weekdays from weekends. His proudest boast was the average number of hours he clocked each month. But behind the scenes, his family life was fraying. His friends rarely sought him. He noticed that although his volume of work was massive, his genuine innovations had stagnated. One day, he was forced to take a medical break due to stress-induced symptoms. During that unplanned pause, he had a moment to reflect on the question, was all this endless hustle actually producing the results he desired? That leads us to an opening question, how us to evaluate, often do we poffumate, whether our intense work schedules truly equal to meaningful progress. If we're caught in momentum of constant action, do we lose sight of the bigger picture of creativity and health? This question is crucial because it asks us to reconsider the assumption that more hours automatically lead to more success. Sometimes stepping back enables a leap forward. The software engineer's case is enlightening because it illustrates how short-term gains from constant exertion can overshadow the long-term consequences. During his forced medical leave, he experienced a surprising improvement in mental clarity. Ideas he'd been straining to conjure suddenly appeared when his mind was at rest. He described it as the walls around his thinking had crumbled. Oddly enough, this newfound clarity led him to a breakthrough in optimizing a piece of code that had been vexing him for months. This breakthrough happened while he was out on his balcony. Watched at sunrise instead of sitting at his computer at night. His story is a stark reminder that it's not about eradicating hard work. It's about strategically placing intervals of rest and enjoyment so the intense periods of effort can be more effective. The key is to realize that burnout not only harms our personal lives, but impedes the flow of creative, high-quality output. The mind can't be a perpetual engine without any down for maintenance. When we delve deeper, we see that periods of rest can act like a mental incubation process. Our subconscious to connect disparate ideas in ways our conscious mind, bogged down by fatigue, cannot. The engineer's best code iteration emerged during a moment of calm, suggesting that sometimes innovation happens when we step away from our desks. Our best ideas can appear when we're relaxed enough to see beyond the immediate tasks to the bigger puzzle. Propose several practical solutions based on this discovery. First, schedule deliberate pauses in your work routine, mini breaks that permit mental wandering and reflection. Second, cultivate a hobby or activity entirely unrelated to your professional pursuits. This can be playing a musical instrument, exploring nature, or learning a new craft. These pursuits refresh the mind in a way that pure downtime cannot. Embrace the principle of diminishing returns, understanding that after a certain point of continuous labor, output quality declines sharply. Recognizing that moment can save not only your sanity, but also your creativity. Through this first key point, we reach a breakthrough conclusion when we consciously integrate rest and playful exploration into our work schedule. We actually amplify our capacity for innovation and deepen our sense of satisfaction. This is not a theory, but a tangible reality for countless creators and leaders. As Leonardo da Vinci reputedly stated in a phrase that resonates to this day, everything go away, have a little relaxation, for when you come back to your work, your judgment will be surer. His words, just under our upper limit of quote length, remind us that stepping away enriches our vision upon return. Recognizing this fundamental link between balance and breakthrough sets the stage for the rest of our journey. If we want to solve big problems, like transition to sustainable energy or establishing a human presence on Mars, we need every ounce of creativity and stamina. That's only possible if we aren't constantly operating on the brink of collapse. Let's move to our second key point, where a storytelling approach will illuminate how personal narratives and collective experiences shape our understanding of this delicate balance. I want to share with you a story I heard from a friend who ran a robotics startup. He started out with high hopes of burning to reshape manufacturing processes through automation. He hired a small, dedicated team that lived and breathed robots, cutting around the clock. For the first 6 months, enthusiasm soared, fueled by the promise of creating something revolutionary. Everyone was lazy, laying off energy drinks, fast food, and the thrill of near impossible deadlines. As time passed, honeymoon phase faded. Team members became easily irritated. They lost the camaraderie that once inspired them. Arguments erupted over minor issues. My friend felt his own eagerness morph into a persistent sense of dread. Despite massive hours, the startup missed several milestones. In pursuit of relentless speed, they overlooked the importance of pacing themselves for the long haul. One developer confided that he used to play guitar to unwind, yet he hadn't touched the instrument in months. Another realized she had stopped going on weekend hikes an activity that once replenished her with new perspectives. Gradually, their problem-solving prowess diminished. The rush to do more faster ironically led them to produce less at lower quality. It was a painful discovery akin to watching a race car blow its engine after ignoring all the warning signs. The group recognized they needed solutions, and they began to implement mandatory breaks, team-building activities that weren't just about coding and flexible scheduling. They reclaimed their personal hobbies and found a surprise resurgence of that early spark. The storyline shifted dramatically, the team regained its collaborative spirit, and new, more polished prototypes started emerging. Investors, initially alarmed, were pleasantly surprised to see steady progress return once the frantic pace stabilized. Looking back, my friend described this journey as a series of dramatic twists and turns. To climbing a sheer cliff without ropes, only to discover halfway that single person, no matter how strong, could carry the entire load. The challenge they faced demanded not just skill but also resilience, which required resting points to gather strength. They learned an enduring lesson: high performance is not made about sprinting. It's about smart sprints punctuated by intentional rest. Over time, they adopted a more balanced schedule that respected weekends, encouraged personal passion projects, and allowed team members the freedom to recharge. From this revision in work culture, they saw a deeper loyalty form within the team, and a sustainable momentum took shape. What's crucial is how they integrated these lessons back into their daily routines. Rather than a quick fix, realized the shift toward balance was a continuous effort, more akin to maintaining a garden than flipping a switch. Each person had to regularly check in on themselves and on each other, kept each other accountable for taking breaks as much as meeting deadlines. In this mutual support, they found a sense of unity and shared purpose that was even stronger than before. The company ultimately delivered on its promise, creating a line of robotic systems that gained favorable attention in the industry. But the real triumph, my friend insists, was in learning that sustained innovation is a marathon with periodic sprints, not an endless string of sprints. People flourish when they can breathe, laugh, and enjoy life's simple pleasures without shame or guilt. It reminds me of a quote often attributed to Henry Ford: "Coming here is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success." In just the right range of words, this quote underscores that real success is about unity and shared well-being. It's a reminder that the foundation of achievement lies in collective effort, nurtured by the balanced energy of each individual. Weaving this story into our conversation, we see how a team's narrative can shift from overworked despair to revitalized triumph. This is a powerful illustration of our second key insight. We must maintain a sense of community, spirit, and individual well-being if we're to create extraordinary results. A single founder or a single idea can't thrive in isolation. Sustained brilliance requires shared mode of mutual care. Now, let's move into our third key point, where we'll take an analytical perspective and examine statistical data, market trends, and in-depth research that highlight why overworking often backfires, and how strategic relaxation can yield higher returns. Knowledge grounded in real numbers and studies helps us see that this isn't just feel-good advice, it's a genuine productivity strategy. In recent years, various studies have measured productivity against the number of hours worked. One well-cited analysis found that beyond roughly 50 hours a week, a worker's output begins to decline so steeply that any additional time spent is often wasted or even counterproductive. The phenomenon is not unique to tech or startups. It's been observed in manufacturing, knowledge work, and service industries. Furthermore, chronic stress costs businesses billions in healthcare expenses and lost productivity each year. Trends reveal that companies promoting a healthy work-life balance tend to have better employee retention rates, which translates into reduced recruiting and training costs. This is particularly relevant in fast-paced environments where losing an experienced employee can derail projects for months. Over the past decade, more firms have experimented with flexible scheduling, remote work, and even 4-day work weeks. Remarkably, many of these organizations report a rise in employee satisfaction and, crucially, no dip in their productivity metrics. Some even see improvements in overall output. Digging into in-depth research, neuroscientists explain that our brains process and consolidate information during rest. Sleep, for instance, is critical for memory formation. When we shortchange ourselves on rest, we erode our capacity to learn quickly and solve complex problems. In creative tasks, such as engineering a new rocket component or designing a breakthrough user interface, the mind benefits enormously from downtime, which fosters unconscious processing of ideas. A well-known tech giant conducted an internal study, finding that employees who took scheduled vacations returned with enhanced problem-solving abilities, generating fresh ideas that were often more impactful than those produced in the weeks preceding their break. The logic is clear. Mental fatigue limits our capacity to innovate, no matter how determined we are. Over time, even the strongest willpower cannot overcome the biology of an exhausted mind. From a practical standpoint, this data points to applications that can shift corporate culture. Leaders can implement policies that limit excessive overtime, ensuring employees have regular opportunities to disengage. On an individual level, professionals can adopt project timelines that incorporate rest phases so that deadlines are met with full acuity rather than diminishing returns. Looking at future predictions, we see an accelerating trend toward valuing flexibility and human-centered design and work processes. Artificial intelligence and automation will handle many repetitive tasks, freeing people to focus on creative and strategic roles. Such roles demand high cognitive and emotional performance, which is only sustainable if we prioritize mental and emotional well-being. Companies that fail to adapt risk losing their best talent and falling behind in innovation. One compelling quote from Mariana Huffington fits perfectly here. We need to accept that we won't always make the right decisions, that we'll screw up royally sometimes, understanding that failure is not the opposite of, it's part of success. Success, while not directly about rest, it underscores the idea that embracing our human limitations, including the need for rest, can be a cornerstone of real success. We become more adaptable and more resilient when we accept that we're not machines. By grounding our conversation in this analysis, we see that the concept of balancing work and play as genuine financial, neurological, and operational backing. It's not a passing fad. It's a real research-supported movement that helps people and organizations thrive in the long term. Now, let's shift to our fourth key point, an interactive approach that invites to explore exercises, discussions, direct practices for integrating fun and rejuvenation into everyday routines. Imagine yourself in a brief thought exercise. Close your eyes and visualize your perfect workday. What does it look like from start to finish? Begin your morning. How do you break up your tasks? Where do you fit in moments of relaxation or play? In your mental picture, do you see yourself performing more effectively when you schedule regular intervals of rest or engaging social moments? This small visualization can reveal how simple yet powerful it is to redesign your daily structure. As groups or teams, I encourage you to hold open discussions about personal interests outside of work. Allocate a portion of your meetings not just for deadlines, but for sharing weekend activities, new hobbies, interesting podcasts people have discovered. This fosters a sense of human connection that can significantly reduce stress levels. It transforms colleagues into companions on a shared adventure. Rather than mere co-workers fulfilling tasks, in many teams, experience sharing can be a catalyst for innovation. People come together and relate their personal stories about the latest board game they enjoyed or a fascinating museum exhibit they visited. They spark off the wall ideas that might solve a nagging business challenge. It's the cross-pollination of insights from different domains that leads to breakthroughs. When teams practice direct exercises, like short, engaging challenges totally unrelated to their core projects, they often return to work tasks with renewed clarity. One effective direct practice is the power pause. It's a simple 3-step technique. Pause your work after a focused block of time. Take 3 to 5 minutes to do something playful or calming, like a quick doodle, a short walk, or breathing exercise. Then resume your task. This small intervention can refresh the mind more than most realize. Another approach involves short group games or brainstorming sessions where the aim is to be as imaginative or even absurd as possible. The idea is to free your mind from the constraints of daily targets, allowing creativity to flow. At the end of each day or each week, a learning summary can help teams or individuals reflect on what worked well and what didn't. Did a midweek virtual coffee break boost morale? Did stepping away from the screen for half an hour in the afternoon lead to sharper ideas later in the day? By systematically capturing these observations, refine your approach to balancing focus and fun. One quote that resonates with this interactive spirit comes from Richard Branson. Fun is one of the most important and underrated ingredients in any successful venture. If you're not having fun, then it's probably time to call it quits. Clocking in just the right length. These words remind us that fun isn't frivolous, it's a core driver of sustained success. These activities may sound small or trivial, but consistently applied, they cultivate a culture where creativity, collaboration, and resilience thrive. And that's precisely our fourth key point. Making balance not just an abstract idea, but an interactive, daily reality that recharges our minds and fosters a supportive community. Next, we'll progress to our fifth and final key point, framed by a problem-solving approach, to address the challenge of burnout and propose actionable strategies to ensure lasting well-being. Let's begin by identifying the challenge of burnout is a state of physical, emotional, mental exhaustion caused by prolonged stress. It manifests as chronic fatigue, cynicism, and a sense of ineffectiveness. Entrepreneurs, innovators, highly ambitious professionals are especially vulnerable because they often feel they have to push themselves harder than everyone else. The problem is that burnout doesn't just decrease performance. It can also lead to health crises, strained relationships, and in extreme cases, the downfall of entire projects. Cause analysis suggests that burnout usually arises when there's an imbalance between demands and resources. Too many commitments, unrealistic expectations, or lack of personal boundaries, coupled with insufficient support or rest. The hustle culture sometimes glorifies stress as a sign of dedication, reinforcing unsustainable work habits. People often feel guilty when they aren't working, fearing someone else might outpace them if they don't keep going nonstop. How do we solve this? First, acknowledging that burnout is a real and systemic problem is critical. Leaders need to model healthy behavior by taking breaks themselves, openly discussing the importance of downtime, and encouraging employees to prioritize well-being. On a personal level, we can employ methods like time blocking. Tasks are organized into clearly defined periods with equally clear boundaries for rest. Another solution is to practice mindful delegation, trust others to handle tasks that don't require your direct attention. This not only lightens your load, but also empowers teamwork growth. In terms of an action plan, organizations can set up wellness programs that go beyond mere lip service, offering gym memberships, meditation sessions, flexible work options, and training and time management. Individuals should set short, medium, and long-term wellness goals, just as they set professional goals. This might involve scheduling regular physical activity, carving out time for family and friends, or engaging in creative endeavors that energize the mind. Success metrics can be tracked by monitoring employee satisfaction surveys, turnover rates, and the quality of creative output. On a personal scale, you might measure improvements in sleep quality, mood, and the enjoyment you derive from your work. If your personal relationships are improving and you feel consistently motivated rather than chronically drained, those are signs you're on the right path. A fitting quote to encapsulate this problem-solving perspective comes from Bill Gates, who once said, "Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. In about 20 words, it reminds us that sustainability trumps short bursts of unsustainable exertion. Consistent, balanced progress can carry us further in the long run than any frantic sprint. Concluding this fifth key point, it's clear that tackling burnout is not just a personal responsibility, but a collective endeavor requiring thoughtful strategies, cultural shifts, and ongoing reflection. The benefits are immense to healthier people, more vibrant teams, that innovations that can truly change the world. Now, let's bring all these insights together as we chart a future vision, outline new challenges, reaffirm our support for each other, close with inspiration that carries us forward. When I look toward the future, I envision a world where the boundaries between work and play blend more seamlessly. Innovation thrives because people have the mental and emotional capacity to dream bigger. Imagine a reality where startups are born not from desperation and endless sacrifice, from genuine passion coupled with balanced living, teams fueling their breakthroughs with equal measures of hard work and joyous exploration. In that future, we won't just have better products or services, we'll have stronger, more resilient people leading humanity forward, and we'll see more breakthroughs because fresh minds, unburdened by perpetual exhaustion, can see opportunities in places the weary mind overlooks. I see a landscape where technology complements human creativity rather than driving us into a corner of constant hustle. As AI and automation take over repetitive tasks, we'll have the freedom to focus on what truly sparks our imaginations. This opens up endless possibilities, from accelerating our journey to Mars to reinventing education systems on Earth. Only works if we choose to harness these tools responsibly and give ourselves the mental bandwidth to innovate. That bandwidth comes from balanced routines, from rest, from the rejuvenation that arises when we honor the need for play. Still, the path ahead isn't without obstacles. We live in a competitive, fast, evolving marketplace that often rewards quick fixes and short-term gains. There's a cultural narrative that venerates endless hustle as the hallmark of success. The challenge is to redefine this narrative for ourselves, our teams, and the broader community. We must challenge the status quo by proving that a balanced, sustainable approach delivers superior results over time. This means being brave enough to question entrenched norms and to say no when demands become unrealistic. It means learning that you can be fully committed to your vision while still honoring your need for downtime. If each of us becomes an ambassador for this mindset, we can support one another in the quest to stay balanced. When you see someone working themselves in the ground, gently suggest a break or offer to take a small task off their plate. Advocate for fair and reasonable timelines in your projects, and speak openly about the value of recharging your creative battery. If you're a leader, set an example by taking genuine vacations and talking about how rest helps you think more clearly. If you're a team member, communicate your needs and boundaries. Let your colleagues know that you're a more effective collaborator when you're also attending to your personal well-being. For my part, to continuing to evolve how I manage my own work-life integration. Though I'm known for pushing boundaries, I'm equally determined to refine my approach so that I don't simply rely on willpower and caffeine. Ensure the breakthroughs in space travel, energy transformation, and beyond are matched by an equally groundbreaking perspective on the value of human rest and happiness. We can't expect to carry civilization to Mars if we're too drained to think straight by the time the rocket's on the launch pad. As we stand together at this inflection point, where technology, ambition, human potential, time to envision success, not just as an outcome, but as a process. That process must be sustainable, humane, and filled with pockets of joy that inspire our next leap of imagination. And we can foster a professional environment where fear of missing out on the next big thing doesn't drive us into relentless grind mode. Instead, we can be propelled by a steady burn of enthusiasm and curiosity, stoked by well-timed breaks and playful adventures that keep our minds agile. I ask you to challenge yourself, starting today, to integrate these principles. Start by making a small shift. Maybe it's turning off your devices for an hour in the evening, or rediscovering a hobby that used to light you up. Share the benefits you experience with everyone else, and invite them to do the same. Over time, these small sparks can ignite a larger cultural transformation, because make no mistake, the support we offer one another matters profoundly. In an ecosystem where everyone is chasing big goals, it's easy to forget we aren't just cogs in a grand machine. We're people with dreams, vulnerabilities, and an innate craving for balance. When we show up for each other, acknowledging that a burned out teammate is not a liability, but a person who needs guidance and rest, we strengthen the bonds that turn startups into families and corporations into communities. If you're a manager or a leader, consider implementing tangible measures that encourage healthy work practices. Don't just talk about wellness. Invest in it. Empower your teams with flexible scheduling, a culture that rewards results rather than hours logged, and measure productivity in terms of meaningful outputs rather than time spent at a desk. Offering genuine support goes beyond the occasional free lunch. It's about designing an environment where each individual can thrive without compromising their well-being. In this supportive ecosystem, we can face new challenges with greater resilience. Creative powers expand when they aren't shackled by fatigue. We become more daring, more visionary. We take bold leaps in technology, medicine, energy, and exploration because our minds are free to wander and wonder. By constant stress, the capacity for original thinking blooms in a state of well-rested curiosity, and that is the breeding ground for monumental achievements. And now, as we move toward the close of this journey, leave you the conviction that balancing work and play isn't a frivolous side note, it's the backbone of enduring success. It sustains your energy, fuels your creativity, and ultimately enriches your spirit. Every major leap forward in history has been led by individuals whose imaginations were unchained, and that can only happen when we respect our need for both dedication and downtime. In parting, let's unite in an inspiring vision. Let's be the generation of leaders and innovators who prove that real productivity, big dreams, and world-changing inventions arise from minds that know how to rest and hearts that know how to play. Let's be the living example of how a balanced life can give birth to ideas that alter the course of humanity. We can do more than conquer challenges. We can redefine the very nature of work, success, and happiness. Each of you, from this day forward, to rethink the definition of hard work, to allow yourselves moments of lightness, and to trust that these moments are not distracting you from your mission. They're enhancing it. May you leave here with renewed determination and the insight that your best breakthroughs will come when your vision is supported by the harmony of a well-cared for mind and spirit. Keep reaching for the stars. Don't forget to take a breath, share a laugh, and remember that balance is not a detour from greatness, but a vital conduit to achieving it. Let's boldly create a future where our collective brilliance is fueled by both ambition and joy. Together, we will make it happen.